From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, former Navy SEAL sniper and best-selling author, Jack Carr. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Brian on sound effects. And now, he gets his peaches in Georgia and his wallet raped in California. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. A choice with you. A mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Shit, yeah.
Well, we're going to start the show with some sad personal news.
Oh, no.
Lynette and I are getting divorced. It's not something that I wanted to get or to do. I'm a product of divorce.
Yeah.
Lynette's a product of divorce. It's not the kind of thing. It's just, well, no one ever signs up to get divorced.
No.
I got your wedding invitation today.
Bittersweet.
I was driving in thinking, I got to talk about this. How do I talk about it? And then my phone lit up.
Sorry.
Gina said, we set a date, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
Very sorry.
Zero-sum game.
We've been separated for a few months. It's hard. The kids come first,
I was going to say.
and they have, and they're doing well.
Ugh.
And some say too well.
Yeah.
Like literally
Thriving?
Benefiting.
did not. I wanted a little devastation.
Right.
I did not get much devastation.
It's like, hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? It's been a difficult time.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. I very
That's-
much didn't know this.
That stinks.
We've been together for 25 years.
Jesus.
That took the
We're very different human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We have different sets of philosophies. That's for sure. And I wish, it's not an event. It's not somebody was cheating.
Right.
It's not, chronic gambling or COVID. It's really just two people that were just that different and just had completely different processes and approaches to life and just couldn't get it, couldn't meet in the middle somewhere. And it's hard. I mean, it's a weird thing. Everyone gets divorced, or a lot of people get divorced. No one around here really has gotten divorced, but
No.
everyone else seems to get divorced.
Well, didn't Andrew, who was the one who wouldn't eat it, he got divorced and moved back home?
Oh yeah.
So you got that going for you, buddy.
I should send him a text.
And I feel like, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to be really sad. The vast majority of us as parents are divorced.
Yeah, and so it's weird because everyone's parents are divorced, and every time you turn on the news, Bill Gates is getting divorced or someone's getting divorced, but just never was in my cards. Like it wasn't something that it wasn't. I guess I didn't have as an option.
Right.
My thing was like whatever isn't working, we'll make it work. And but ultimately, if you can't make it work, then it's probably for the good. So I'm in a pretty good place.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a long time coming, at least
It has been.
from what we said.
Yeah, I was not, it was tough initially, but I'm in a pretty good place now and, I'm sort of getting on with it and enjoying my life. But, I wanted to, there are no shows in Wisconsin. I'm going to spread my wings.
Yep.
But it was tough, and I wanted to let the audience know what was going on, but I didn't want to jump the gun, and I wanted to sort of make sure that the kids and the ducks were in line
This
in
is
a row.
A very, very big life event that you don't just want to sort of half-ass it.
Yeah, but it is now official, or it's getting filed, so it shall be official. Yes.
How is your relationship amicable right now? Or tough? Or both?
It's okay. I mean, we worked out a schedule, and everyone is sort of keeping up with it, and it sucks, and back and forth, and so
who's going to sell those Paul Newman cars in half?
Nesting now. Yeah.
Oh man.
So you stay at the house. The kids don't leave the house. It's much
okay.
it's much better. Like when my parents got divorced, my dad just moved out and crashed on the sofa
Right.
at my
Square footage,
grandparents'
baby.
house. Oh yeah. So you can if you got some money essentially, and you can do the nesting thing, and
That's
the kids don't have
incredible.
to move into an apartment and all that kind of
The
stuff.
grads didn't know that was an option in our time.
I know. Look, people always talk about divorce. Like divorce, it destroys the kids, or it's so tough on the kids. You can do it in a way, if you want to throw some money at it, where the kids are not really affected, not nearly to the degree that we all were. Because first things first, sometimes folks moved to Indiana.
Yeah.
And you got to go to a new school and
or you
all
only
that
see
stuff.
them in the summer or whatever.
Yeah, so it's all sort of been about the kids, keeping everything sort of neutral, and let's be honest, Olga helps a lot because she's a constant,
You mean mom?
and she's there, so she's not going in and out and back and forth and everything. But I wanted to share that with everyone. I was really kind of embarrassed, honestly. Like my number one kind of feeling is sort of shame, embarrassment. Like I just felt like, I'm
Why?
now going to. I think divorce feels like a failure,
Like,
and I
You
think
couldn't go the
think you-
distance in this.
in a sense.
now you are going to join the ranks of my stupid parents and your stupid parents,
lot of stupid
and
parents.
Maxipata's stupid parents, and Dawson's parents are together. right?
They're good.
Yeah, that's what makes them stupid.
So, it was never a good time to talk about it, but now's the time. This had to come clean. And
Putting two and two together, imagine Malibu was a fallout of this
well,
situation.
Malibu was actually started as Natalia saying, "Can we go hang out in Malibu, like for a rental, during the summer and that kind
And
of
you
stuff."
said, I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
Don't hit one upper.
There's your room. So interestingly enough, the origins of Malibu weren't, we're getting separated. I need a place to live, but it morphed into that.
Reverse engineered.
Yeah, which is, and I'm out there 3 days a week or 4 days a week, or kind of switch off. Get in the ocean every day. I'm out there.
Wow.
It's cold today, and just getting on with it.
Feel free to just
Go ahead.
give me a little slap across the face. But no, that was it.
You're not married yet.
You do enough damage with your email this morning.
Thank you.
I literally
Haven't you learned your lesson?
I was driving in. I was thinking, okay, what do I want to say? How do I say this? Well, guess who's getting married? We've got a date.
Well, it won't last. Just kidding.
Pray.
So when I was going through a breakup, not a marriage, but a pretty heavy breakup, my therapist at the time said, I have counseled married couples before, and it comes to a point where at one point I've said, I can't help you stay together, but I can absolutely help you break up in a way that will cause the least amount of fallout. Has that been something to consider in a counseling way? Or
Yeah, we brought, when we told the kids, we brought them in to counseling, and we just did it in that environment because we just thought it'd be a better environment. And yeah, I'd say that's generally true. It hasn't. I mean, ultimately, it's better. My life's better, and I'm fine with it. But it's still not something. It's not really a logical thought. It's like I don't want this thing to happen, but I'm better off if it does happen. So for me, I'm sort of philosophical.
That makes sense. And you're a person who, in general, is also very much in control of your life and the things happening in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So this must be one of those moments where everything just feels a little uncomfortable because it doesn't feel like it's in your control.
Yeah, I'd say that. I've done a pretty good job of just sort of creating an environment where I get to be in charge of the environment.
Right.
And work's been that way. I mean, you still have to work, but you sort of do it on your own terms.
Right.
Basically kind of my life. Well, as Tucker Carlson mentioned, he came in here and said, I see you working amongst your cars and the people you want to work with and working in your own place. And he went and did that in his place. So, I do like that. And then this isn't something you're in control of.
Right.
So it's not comfortable, and it's also it's like every part of life, which is the worst. It's the worst when it is the worst. Like living somewhere else,
right.
Just sleeping in some place that is barely furnished,
right.
Just where the TV doesn't work, and you're just sort of sitting around sort of with your own thoughts, like it, now, Malibu's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I got my stuff in there. I've got, it takes you a while to like dial in your space.
Of course. Oh God, how do you move a movie theater?
I haven't dialed into space.
Well, Sonny has.
I burnt that shit to the ground. That's the first thing I did was get drunk and fucking light a flare, threw it in there, taped to some gas cans.
Sure.
But yeah, so now it's like, yeah, I like staying at home. I like seeing the kids. I like going to Malibu. The kids will come stay with me in Malibu. So it's like, it's evened out.
You've certainly figured out, as always, what sounds like the best way to navigate something that seems unnavigatable.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
The mind floods with questions and ideas. First of all, Chris, remember that idea I pitched to you where Adam said our exes have to write our profiles for dating?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to write your profile for dating.
Oh,
We're going to
yeah.
have a bid on this. Number two, feel free not to answer. This is a personal question, but I'm thinking of things that I'm going to get we are going to get tweeted tomorrow. Like, what about this? What financially, what's going to happen with assets? I mean, we have an empire here. You have Carolla drinks, you have cars.
Yeah.
Chassis media.
Well, so nothing about me working my ass off all the time is going to change. That shall remain.
Even more incentive to live the life your wife and kids are leading.
We're just using a mediator. It's not everyone's lawyered up and all that. So, we'll figure it out.
Garagos was probably like, use a mediator. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. No, Garagos recommended a mediator.
Yeah.
So, that'll...
Those dudes that are fighting each other, quote unquote, best friends, and you two are the enemy.
It's always...
Lena, if you're listening, you don't want to get screwed on this.
I've always heard it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
great.
try to figure
That's
it
great.
out via the mediator, but and we shall see. Hopefully, we'll keep some of those Newman cars.
Will Lynette still be doing Carolla drink stuff?
Yeah, she's going to run that business. I'm going to do what I'm doing. She's going to do what she's doing. There's not going to be any interruption of anything. I think everything's going to be basically the same. Just
Carolla singles cruise in December.
That's right, baby. All right. So now Gina's getting married, so tell us all about it.
Oh, it's all about your impending nuptials.
Well, I really hope you guys are there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. We're getting married in a fucking blueberry patch.
Let's cut to the bridesmaids.
They're very good. They're good looking.
What
crew.
they're wearing.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
This one is an
Oh,
Adam.
wait, you got a big problem. Good news and bad news. They're all smoking hot. The bad news is they made the list one year of chicks that would be disgusted to sleep with you. Remember?
Oh.
Gina's friends collectively.
You had one friend who thought Adam was sexy.
Yeah, but she's fairly happily married.
God
has a couple
damn
of
it.
kids.
Yeah. All right.
But
well, I'll be
she's
there.
kind of a wild child, so you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
The
gonna
whole
be
palace.
there's gonna be some tail at that wedding.
All right. Noted. Tail
No show
and
that-
Taffeta, my
No
two
show that
favorite,
day.
my favorite morning show.
Yeah. Well, you seem like you're doing well in the sense that this is pretty surprising to us.
I've obviously been privy to this information for a number of months, so I'm fine.
Do you
Good,
think
yeah.
not COVID itself, but like the lockdown, the everyone on top of each other, like you say, you obviously have square footage, but everyone's at home with the kids. Did that exacerbate things?
It was probably harder for me and Natalia than it was with Lynette.
Oh.
Natalia was much more
Yeah, but just that aggravation
whipped
in the
up.
house, though, right?
Yeah, you could chalk it up to things like COVID, except for this, we were kind of heading down this path, pre-COVID.
Right.
So it's been a long time in the making, and maybe actually it's probably, or it should be, a good thing. So ultimately,
Right.
but and it also, part of it is nobody wants to walk around kind of nursing a secret. you know. So it's like
Totally.
shit comes up where they go like, hey, we're going to invite you out. Your wife's coming, you know, and stuff. And then you have to go, well, no, she's not around. You know, it's kind of, you feel like you're harboring something, you know.
And it takes a lot of energy to keep that up when people are just asking questions that they don't.
I always say that about people who cheat and we talked about like pedophiles and stuff like that, like just walking around with this thing in your head of like, every time the phone rings or that there's a text or something like that, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Who's going? But yes.
No, as it pertains to this situation, your situation, it's how I felt when I was first diagnosed 12 years ago. It's like, oh, I can keep this a secret and we can like just be a family thing, but at a certain point, it's going to become very evident to everyone around. You know what I mean? Like that house of the dominoes are going to fall.
People are going to have questions about the walker.
Yes.
Precisely.
Eventually.
Yes.
Getting a walker?
All right. So
Well, we love you. We love.
Yeah.
I mean, Lynette is a wonderful, amazing person, and I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Yeah,
This is tough.
thank you.
Genuinely sorry.
Not my life plan, but you know, when one door closes, another one opens, as somebody once said.
You know what my therapist says? When one door closes, another one opens, but the hallways are hell. So maybe you feel like you're in the
good.
hallway
Getting
right
from
now.
your-
Yeah. All right. So do not cry for me, Argentina. I'm fine. And again, as newsy as this may be to some, it's oldish to me. So
Right.
it's not like I'm, found out this morning I was getting divorced. All right. I brought my phone in here, which I never do.
This is an odd day.
I know.
Can you download Tinder, Gina?
Jesus Christ. Maybe he wants a growler, bear.
What?
What's it called?
Is this gay stuff?
Yeah. Grinder.
Grinder?
Oh,
Growler?
bear growler.
I got John Popper's text about the gun that shoots 18,000 yards per second.
Jesus, fuck.
Our
guest Dave was a sniper. He probably knows all about that.
Yes. So just so you know that John Popper's insane, this text randomly showed up. So anyway, we hadn't corresponded in about a month. Anyway, said, hey, man, it took me until just now to ask myself, is there a gun that shoots 2,000 yards per second? That was the misinformation I gave about his gun because it shoots 2,000 feet per second. And it turns out there's a 20 millimeter cannon and a 30 millimeter cannon, or even a 50 caliber that does about 1,000 yards per second. So I cut to the chase. And the fastest projectile ever moved, larger than a speck of dust. He must have been high when he sent me this. Then he writes in parentheses, the hardened collider is a fired projectile, see below. Then he sent an article from the New York Times. Using an experimental gun about 60 feet long, scientists at the national laboratories, wherever, blasted a small projectile at the speed of 10 miles a second, and then went on to write 10 miles a second. And then he wrote, I want one. And
For the squirrels?
And then he sent me the same email again.
Oh, okay.
So that's my John Popper
Just to make sure you got it.
munitions update.
It's so funny because you think like, oh, John Popper, he's, like amazing musician, super laid back, fun song, soulful guy. In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have thought this was part of his personality.
Well, this is going to be the problem with, the gun buyback or the assault weapon or the AR-15 reclamation or whatever it is. Guys don't like guns. They love guns. The guys who love guns.
Right.
The guys, I'm not a gun guy, but gun guys, they don't
Tried and
have the
true.
relationship with it that, like, there's a lot of people that drive cars, but they're not car people.
Right.
And if you said, oh, I could offer you public transportation to get you where, they go, oh, good. I don't even want to, they moved to New York and they leave their car
Right.
back in L.A. or whatever. But gun guys love themselves some guns.
Wow.
And this is what we're facing in America. I do not think we're going to get those guys to give their guns back.
I don't think so.
Part of the problem is, in getting their guns back, they have guns. You got to do the math on that.
Does I don't follow the gun debate that closely. Does any reasonable person want to take guns away? I think they're trying to make it harder for crazy people
well,
to get guns, right?
they have thoughts
I know
about.
that's the scare tactic, like Obama wants to take your guns.
They
over
have
your
like
head.
the AR-15 buyback or something. There are things that have been done. There was an assault weapons ban.
Okay.
And that wasn't really effective,
Didn't
so
really take hold.
they got rid of it because all the crime is handguns.
Right.
So I mean, we're at this. We're in a weird place, which is Black Lives Matter, but we're focusing on white cops killing unarmed black men, which is minuscule, and then black men killing black men, which doesn't fit the narrative. But if you really want to stop black men from getting shot, then you're going to have to start focusing on black men shooting black men in, the inner city. The gun thing is we're all whipped up on assault weapons. Assault or so-called assault weapons, they don't really account for any killings.
Not the volume.
It's vastly handguns, and then I don't think like AR-15s are less than knives, feet, and fists, like in the lives taken. So you can ban them or you can take them back,
Right.
but you're still going to have the same amount of handgun deaths,
Right.
like ostensibly. So then you got to get into handguns or you're going to have the same amount of gun fatalities. Most stuff isn't done with rifles. It doesn't
Right.
make sense. You can't walk around
Right.
holding a rifle without people noticing. So now you got to get into handguns, and good luck with handguns. Yeah.
Is John Popper friends with the Motor City Madman?
He should be.
Yeah, can you get them together?
He never brought him up, although he did say hi to Gary Louris from the Jayhawks.
No, we're not trying to go that direction.
100% bullshit.
That's who I want to be friends with.
Yeah, so there's that update. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about guns. They've tried in some places, like I think Australia had a mandatory rifle buyback, which bumps people because it's mandatory.
But it worked, right?
It is
People were
Australia.
like, okay.
I guess I don't know how it worked or if they're still doing it or how it worked, but we're gonna have trouble in this town.
I know Australia is really big, so that's a terrible example. But I can't help but always think about like everybody, shits on this country and we have so many problems. Well, when you think about, say, Europe, every one of those countries is the size of a state. If we were just doing something with a state in the union, we would be successful at it too. You know what I mean? If we just had that many people.
Well,
and I'm
that's
sure it'll get tweeted, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah, the problem that they always do is they go, well, Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. They go, yeah, and the people bring the stuff in from, Michigan and Wisconsin who don't have,
Right.
So then there's that.
So
How
workaround.
do you prevent that? All right, we got Dawson's stand-up. We got an article out of Chicago, nothing to do with guns. We have, God, what did I write down here? Oh, yeah. All right, Keygate.
Oh, no.
Oh, did we wrap up Urinal Gate?
Are we just letting that go like it never happened?
Well, that's getting filed under, where's Jimmy Hoffa?
Right.
The toilet paper got thrown away. You're welcome.
Oh, is that you?
That was me.
Did you have gloves?
No, I was confused because Kalen, I thought he said he got rid of it, but
He did
then
say he cleaned it.
It was clearly in there, and I poked my head out to Gary, who was sitting, 10 feet away. I'm like, "Is this the same?" He's like, "Yeah, it's the same." I'm like, "All right, well, something's got to be done."
Oh, good.
So
Here comes
Kalen.
Kalen.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, he doesn't. Here come.
Kalen is not going to defend himself. Well, Emmy's here.
Uh-oh.
So as you know, or maybe I've talked about on this show, I'm a deliberate person. I do things deliberately. If I have a mug, a cup, a travel cup, or anything, and I need to bring it home, I put it by the door and I'll put it on the floor. And then people kind of surround me and undo my stuff. Like I pick it up, I put it in the cupboard in the back, and it's like, I don't know it's there.
Yeah.
You didn't say it
Didn't
was
help.
there. So I do a lot of stuff. I told you, was I talking about the garage clicker in the garage door?
Not recently.
So I just gotten a minor dust up with an old guy who understands I'm a deliberate person. She's a deliberate person. So as I told you, one day after she left for the night, there's a big Tupperware thing of chili sitting out on the countertop with the lid off. And I just sort of looked at it, and I was like, that is not an Olga move. Olga screws a pooch once in a while, but she's not going to leave with the lid off.
No, Phil's going to destroy that.
What's she doing? She just went home for the night. It's a big bucket of chili with the Tupperware cap sitting next to it. I looked at it for a little while, and I went, all right. I put the lid on. I put it in the refrigerator. And then I said to Olga the next day, you left the chili out with the lid off. What was that about? Because it's not like her.
Right.
And she said, well, it was hot.
Oh.
And it'll go in the fridge. It'll sweat.
That's true.
You got to let it cool off.
It's true.
And I went, that's why you did that. But it didn't fit my pattern.
Right.
I didn't have any explanation for it. So I do things that are deliberate all the time. Put stuff where, and I got in an Olga a little bit the other day because I got the garage clicker for my house that's in the Z car, and it's not in the car I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to pull out the other day during the daylight hours, going to be gone for an hour, and I left the garage door open. Of course, when I pulled back in, Olga had closed it, which meant I had to get out of the car, and I'm having key-related issues we'll get into in a moment. But I was like, I had to go back, go in the house, walk around, hit the button on the wall, then come back and get in the car. And I said, Olga, when I leave the garage door open, I'm leaving the garage door open. I'm not backing out and forgetting to close the garage door. I like that you're walking around doing this stuff, but understand I'm super deliberate.
Right.
I didn't space out on it. So I'm probably most deliberate with my keys. My keys, I always put on the table out there.
Same.
I always put them somewhere. I oftentimes leave them in my car. I never want to look for my keys. The other day, actually was here yesterday. I had a steak and some egg salad that the old guy made. Had to put it in the fridge. Put the keys in the fridge. Didn't want to leave it in there. But I'm very calculated with all my stuff. So I had the Z car parked here, and I was out driving the Lincoln SUV, but it had my whole key ring on it. So Malibu, I just need one key in and out. The key ring is more for the shops here and the home and that kind of stuff. It's got the key fob for the Z on it as well. So at some point when I'd been in Malibu for a few days or something, it was time to come back, I was like, where is my key ring? Where is that? So I did what I do. I went to the Z car and looked in the cup holder because that's where I would leave it. Was not there.
On the tire?
Not on the tire.
Under the tire?
Then I went inside and went to that front table. It's like, I would throw it down here. Looked around the front table. Not there. Then I said, well, maybe I took it with me in the Lincoln. Not my move. I don't like to separate the key from the car. See, I had the Z keys, and I'm leaving the Z here. I don't want to take the Z key with me, but who knows? Maybe I just threw it in the armrest or whatever, the trap on the Lincoln. Then I went out and searched the Lincoln. All right, so it's not in the Lincoln. It's not in the Z car. It's not on the table here. It's not in the bowl that's out front when you enter. Now, where the hell are those keys? So then I got to La Cañada, and I searched through all the drawers. Remember I threw it in the drawer by the front entry, whatever. Yeah. Key drawer. Searched through all that. Then you start getting into cargo shorts and sweatpants. You know, maybe I threw it because I didn't really need the keys, but okay. Searched all that.
Did you
then
check Phil's lower intestine?
I must have brought it back to Malibu somehow. So then I checked my big wooden bowl where all the keys are in Malibu. Now, no keys. No key ring.
Of the Southland.
No fob for the Z, no keys. So then I realized, all right, maybe there are other forces at work. Perhaps nefarious. So I make the announcement to Fondelier, ask all those guys if they've put my keys anywhere or did anything with a set of keys. Matt checks with the crew. Is that correct, Emmy?
Yes, sir.
And then comes back with a resounding no.
Yeah, I got seasonal allergies. What of it?
No keys. Nobody's seen any keys.
This is odd.
Now what? I'm pretty religious with my keys. I wouldn't take them somewhere and leave them at a restaurant. No. The car is here. Why aren't the keys for the car here? Which, by the way, has the rest of my keys on the ring for
Did you have
everything
your
else.
backpack?
So I'm going through every scenario in my head. Of course, blaming myself, internalizing. I think, aha, somebody, Rhino says, sometimes when you're getting out of one car and getting into another car, all your stuff gets pulled out of the car, gets put on the table there. I threw it all in that box. Got a cardboard box. Threw it all in the box, and you just took it with you to Malibu. I said, oh, well, now it's... Yeah, that I
Right.
threw it on the
makes
table,
sense.
Problem
and then
solved.
at some point I told Ryan, clean off the table or something, and then he threw everything into a box, and then I remember taking that box out and throwing it in Malibu. It seemed like I did it before the keys were lost, but anyway, they're in the box, they're in the garage,
Okay.
they're in Malibu. I then go to Malibu, and of course, comically, there's a bunch of other boxes piled on top of that box. I've been moving a bunch of stuff, and so it's buried at the bottom of a bunch of boxes. So now I remove all the boxes, get to the box with the goods in it, tear the box apart, no keys. So now I'm done with keys. I'm going to have to go get a new key fob for the Z.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get keys made for the house.
I've been there.
Keys made for the shop. Keys
Expensive
made
key
for the
fob.
studio. I got a lot of keys. I don't have any of them. I don't know where they are. I'm done looking
Yeah.
because I've looked everywhere I
Everywhere.
could possibly look.
Your new
Now, I
name.
got to tell you, things look pretty slow right here, but I think it's going to pick up.
Oh, yes.
Keyless
because
Chuck.
tomorrow, or yesterday, I should say, I found the keys. I will
Oh.
tease that for a second. I won't tell you how I found them or where they were. I will tell you first about Tommy John, scrotal distancing. That's right. That's what's going on these days. Struggle to separate the guys from your thighs, man. It's time for Tommy John's hammock pouch underwear. When you're wearing Tommy John's hammock pouch underwear, you're so much more comfortable. You do everything better. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. Over 13 million pairs sold. Dozens of comfort innovations like a air mesh interior hammock and moisture wicking fabric with 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Once you've tried Tommy John, you're never going back to your last pair. I'm wearing mine right now. Look at
Oh,
that.
a nice little pattern, little bucks or deer or
Bucks
something.
and deers, baby. So it's the best pair you'll ever wear. It's free. Guarantee, right, Dawson?
And right now, you get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's 20% off your first order of underwear and loungewear at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, we'll
We'll
take
be back.
ourselves a quick break, and we'll come back and tell you where the key ring was right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, you hit the punching bag with those 2 big mitts. Brian, your drops send me into big fits. Gina,
No.
you have a lovely voice. Thank you.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
So I've searched everywhere for the keys.
high and low.
I've made the proclamation around here. They're not in the box in the garage, and I've now decided to quietly move on with my life without keys.
I don't know how we're going to top this.
Vexed, of course, haunted, walking around nursing this
Yeah,
thing
you
in my
can't let
head
this
all
go.
the time. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this ball of keys?
Yeah.
Then yesterday, the keys appear
Oh, magically?
in the hands of Emmy.
Hey there.
Where'd you find those keys, boy? You deserve a reward.
No, I definitely don't. I found them on the cork pinboard in the office where I had left them myself.
Like hanging?
Like a
Yes.
valet?
Exactly.
Where did you originally find the keys?
I originally found them in your car in the cup holder.
Oh my God.
That's a strange move. Emmy, there must be
Emmy,
an explanation. for
explain
this.
yourself.
So what happened that day was I happened to be here till late and the gate happened to be broken that day. So after I pulled in Ryan's bike so nobody would come in here, I decided to check the Z car to make sure it was locked. Well, it wasn't. So then I came first back in here because I figured you probably left them on the table, the front table. They weren't there. Then I found them inside of the cup holder. So I locked your car. I brought the keys in. I put them on the corkboard.
And walked them into your
even took a
office
picture
and
of
hung them.
I even took a picture of them to remind myself. Completely forgot.
See, now,
tried.
I'm good, but I cannot defeat this.
Yeah.
Now,
this is your greatest enemy.
Once the announcement was made that Adam is missing his keys, that didn't jog a memory from 4.5 days
Well,
earlier?
what I did when I did get that initial email was I did look around the actual office, and I found a little bin with keys in it. And then you ended up saying, well, none of these are the keys that I'm looking for. So I just forgot about that conversation too.
Credit to Emmy. This is a little adjacent to, I took your car out to get it detailed and wrecked it or whatever. Like Emmy was trying to lock the car. The completely forgetting about the keys.
That's what was my response when you gave me the keys.
You really fucked me. And I am so sorry.
Did I yell?
You got pretty red, but you didn't yell at me.
Well, again, it's mitigated by the fact that you were trying to do something that was positive. The point that everyone needs to know is you need to know thyself. None of you, including Drew and me, are good enough to go, I'll take these and I'll just put them in the little skinny drawer of my desk and somehow in 4 days they shall reappear or I will summon this. No, they do not. You cannot. I don't know why it made it into your office. It should have never made it into your office. That's a
strange move.
That was the problem.
I agree.
But it's all based on some version of us thinking we're better than we are. Like, I'll just hang them up here, and then when Adam shows up tomorrow, I'll tell him I hung them up on it.
How could I forget? They're right here.
Well, thinking back on it, the corkboard is right next to the door, so I figured at some point I'd pass them by, see them, take them off when the gate was fixed, and give them back to you. And I forgot.
Question.
The key announcement, the office-wide key announcement did not unlock any of this knowledge that you so dearly guard?
No.
Wow.
It's funny that you call it that because in our family, my dad originated it and I do it to this day. If it's keys, if it's whatever, if I'm putting something somewhere I don't generally put it, he would bellow to the room, big announcement, everybody. This pen is going right here. Big announcement. So we kind of do that in our house. But I'm wondering because Emmy was just trying to be nice and he's the best. But
I'm not the best.
If he would have left the keys in the cup holder, would you have been fine with that because the gate's locked and who the hell would mess with the car?
Well, the gate wasn't locked.
Oh, that's why.
That's
why.
It was broken.
That's why it was broken. Still,
well, you put you leave your key on the tire when you go to the airport.
I do. I have this thing of if I'm going to go to Minneapolis, catch a flight from Minneapolis to Wisconsin, and then get up at 5 a.m. and catch a flight from Wisconsin to Detroit and then back to LAX. I don't like that part where I'm looking through my backpack at a certain point going like, did I?
A lot of opportunities to lose
There's a lot of places those keys could come out. I'm bringing the backpack to the club. My whole thing is keep the keys with the car, keep the stuff together as best you can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's usually how I roll.
I think the worst part about this whole thing is how I found the keys yesterday. I was taking a picture of...
you were hiding Matt's keys and you stumbled across my...
No, I was taking
Matt
a picture of something on the
desk and you snuck in.
I was taking a picture of something on the corkboard and I look at the picture
This
and on
sounds
the corner
familiar.
are a set of keys and that's when I realized they're your keys.
Okay. Never be a fighter pilot.
I won't be.
And again, as long as it was in the service of a good initial thought, I cannot beef too hard. But
thank you, but I truly apologize.
if I had not made my proclamation of where are my goddamn keys to everyone in
that's
the
tough.
office, that's a bad piece of oppositional research. But all right, Emmy, you're lucky I like you.
Thank you, and sorry again.
That's all right. The problem is when people do this to you and your keys or your wallet or whatever they do, you're so thankful just to have your fucking keys
no
back at a
questions
certain
asked.
point. Yeah, I'm like Lady Gaga with her
dogs.
dogs.
Yeah.
All right. So also, I got this. So in the Emmy department, but on me again, somebody dropped off 2 magnums of red wine, 2 magnums of Pinot Noir.
All right.
The Emmy, because he's dutiful, said,
Put it on the corkboard.
"Shall I put these magnums of red wine, and would you like to take these with you?" And I said, "Why, thank you." Oh, sorry, that was Kaylin. Fuck Emmy. Kaylin put it in my car, my brand new car with the black label interior, and would just set it on the back seat. I then left them in the car, and that's why this is on me. Drove to Malibu or whatever. It was very hot yesterday. Maybe you know where this is going. When I don't know how it all worked out, but when I went to get my bags out of my car last night in Malibu, 1 magnum of red wine was, I will not say completely empty, but here's how empty the magnum was inside the car.
Did it burst the cork or did it seep out?
Blew the cork out.
That's hot.
And here's how empty this magnum was, which is 2 regular 750 bottles of wine. Because of me, I busted back up to the condo. Less than half a glass of red wine left for the ace man in that
Oh,
magnum.
you drank the cooked wine?
Why not?
Have you met?
It was a gift.
Are you new, Brian? Of course he drank it.
Another one's Gina's wedding gift. I got to get the cork pushed down flush again. It's out a little bit.
Congratulations, you kids.
I had an entire 2 bottles of red wine entirely capsized in my
brutal.
car, and then
That's in the car that's out here, right?
That's why
Yes.
the door was
Which
open when I
answers the
pulled up.
question, why is Adam's door open?
right,
There you go.
right. But Fondelier, who studies my patterns, said to me earlier, "You probably did this intentionally, but you should still know your door's open." And I said, "Yes, I did
good.
do it intentionally. I'm trying to air it out. It smells like Ernest and Julio Gallo's hall closet in there. Deep cut."
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
please drive carefully. You do not want to be pulled over.
Oh
like
my
this.
God!
Smells like goddamn distiller in here.
Now I can just drink while I'm driving because I'll just throw
They
the
won't know.
cup in the back
That's
of the
right.
officer.
Spill.
So it exploded, and the entire contents came out in the car.
Brutal.
Beautiful, brand new leather, everything. Then, in a weird booze-related connection, so last night, that's how I left the car. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's all covered with booze. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it and clean it out tomorrow. I then was walking out to the car this morning in Malibu, getting ready to leave when I heard a big kind of clank and a crunch. And then I sort of looked, and in front of the car was a 6-pack of White Claw seltzer that had fallen off a car that had sped by, exploded. Some of the cans were shooting seltzer out of the side, and one was tucked underneath the front valve car. I had to get down on the ground and lay down and pull it out. This is weird
Booze mishaps.
Yeah.
related
What kind of sign
car
is
things.
this?
It's like somebody, I didn't even see the car, I just heard it. Like somebody sped by and an unopened 6-pack of White Claw just fell out of their car, landed right in front of my car, sent cans everywhere and under my car, and I had to fish them out because I was going to run over them.
Good thing you're not in
Driving out.
recovery.
Yeah, I know.
a tough day.
Was there one can we're salvaging?
Oh, I salvaged.
He shotgunned it because it
Yeah,
was
that's
already
right.
spraying.
Salvaged 4.
All right.
Good.
Out of the 6. 2 of them had pinholes. All right. Also, in
Car
other
smells
news,
like booze.
Drew was in here talking to me all about his Peter Luger situation.
The steak place?
Yeah. So there was a shooting at Peter Luger's steakhouse.
In Brooklyn?
Yeah. I don't know. We could probably find the story somewhere there, Max Spanner. But I talked to him earlier in the day, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to Peter Luger's. We're so excited about going to Peter Luger's." And then when I talked to him the next day, there was a shooting out front of, but into, Drew was at Peter Luger's with his daughter's boyfriend, and his wife, and they had fired, I think, 2 shots. They hit 2 customers that were sort of sitting outside.
When did this happen? I've not heard about this.
It's weird. I don't know if it seems like with news, it's like there's only like some news news cares about anymore.
The New York Post would have
didn't
this.
have a good strong theme one way or the other. I mean, it was young black guy who was like career criminal, got into it with another guy and just
Not a mob hit.
started shooting.
This is Thursday, a week ago.
This is
See the New York Post headline. I knew we could count on them. What sparked bloody beef outside Peter Luger's?
Oh, there you go.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So, and as to hear Drew tell it, they were going to sit outside where the people in the seats at the table where the people were shot, but he wanted to go indoors because everyone's so tired of eating outdoors.
Right on the sidewalk.
What used to be a treat, now people have PTSD from, and they want to go indoors now. So the cops rolled up on it like immediately. I think the cops were there because there was some sort of Black Lives Matter like event there, and the cops were just showed up for that. So the cops were there within 2 minutes, and I don't think anyone died, but he said 2 people got shot.
Yeah, 2 were wounded.
Yeah, I can give you the gist of what happened if you want. This kid, Archies Somerville, 24 years old, allegedly opened fire. 2 innocent bystanders dining outside. So it says the New York Post, the mayhem unfolded while Somerville had 5 open warrants in North Carolina, where cops warned on Facebook in February that he should be considered armed and dangerous. He was among 11 people celebrating a birthday at Luger's when he began arguing with 2 women, or with some women who weren't at the party. He got so nasty, a male cousin and 2 other men hauled him inside. But instead of cooling off, Somerville kept arguing, and the other men finally gave up and headed back, away from him. That's when Somerville allegedly whipped out a silver .38 caliber revolver, fired 3 rounds at them around 9:45. None of Somerville's intended targets were hit, but 2 men who were dining outside were struck.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the AR-15 buyback is not going to work for Somerville in his pistol.
Talk about a Final Destination situation. There was a 30-year-old tourist who was shot near his spine, and a 57-year-old man from Queens who was shot in the gut.
I don't know how these guys with their 5 priors or their warrants and everything somehow are going to parties in New York, but we got
high profile.
I said to Drew, I'll say it to you, the story where the wife is poisoning the husband and collecting the insurance. I don't like it, but that's all under one roof. The parts where you're just sort of shooting randomly,
you're a menace
outside. Those are the scariest people to me.
Yeah. I'm just sort of going through this. It says he seemed to be very, very drunk. And there was a protest or something a few blocks away, so the cops were there like right away.
Yes, that's what Drew said. There was a protest, and so the cops were Johnny on the spot. All right, so let's see. I got an article here. We got to find. Did we find some German food to eat? We're devastated.
Well, it's Wisconsin. Of course you're going to find German food.
I thought Mike found a place.
Mike found a place on the same block as the hotel, has goulash and everything else.
Great.
Doesn't open until 4 on Saturday with the early show. It's just we gotta do a lunch. We gotta do a lunch thing. So we're gonna have to keep you posted on that. Max Pata, did you find something from yesterday?
The caller from yesterday, Kate, she recommended a place. I'm checking to see how far it is from
Lots of protein.
Please.
Her backyard for veal sausage?
Yeah, that'd be nice. All right.
I think this is the same place she just recommended.
Oh, no.
Heartbreaker.
God.
Oh, because when I was lamenting to Chris, I was like, the place we got all pumped up about had Czechoslovakian goulash. I'm in.
Damn.
Not open. We need a place open earlier. And then Chris went, oh, well, that's all right, because the ball puller recommended a place that's just as close. So close. It's the same goddamn place.
What's weird is that Monday through Friday, they're open 11 a.m. Saturday, they open at 4.
Oh.
What gives?
What gives?
Can't you have someone run it over in between shows, or that'll never work?
The whole, I don't know if you guys are wired like me. When I go out to eat, I just want to enjoy.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Scarf it down.
I also want to know there's a nap at the end of it.
Oh, yeah. Now you're talking about
Because you gotta perform 2 shows, right? So then you get like the full belly.
Yeah.
Then it becomes you're like,
Back on
they do that move. They go, "You want another beer?" And you're like, "I want one, but if I can get it at 2,
Yeah, that makes sense.
then I'll
I get it.
catch the nap." Man.
So just a quick update. We have made contact with your beloved goulash place. And though they normally open at 4, they would say they'd open at 3:30 for the Ace Man.
They can do better.
Tell them that's a C-list star treatment. We're looking for a little B+ star treatment.
And I'm sorry, but you know how they say, like, well, you're an LA 4, but you're a Wisconsin 10? Look, for Appleton,
Come on.
they're not going to do any better.
Yeah, Clooney's not coming in Sunday.
I have family there, trust me.
We may also have another option. It doesn't look like they've got the goulash, but they do have some schnitzel and stuff, and it's open more lunchtime-y kind of hours. It's more of like a pub, brewery kind of place, but...
Yeah. We'll work on it. But your clock's ticking because this is all we do.
That's why he's going to
It's
Appleton.
all super early flights.
Yeah.
It's all connecting flights. It's all shows and green rooms and everything. And then there's the German food.
Speaking of which, not too late to change to a red eye tonight. Get there at like 8 in the morning, catch a little nap, and then get some lunch.
Thank you for your input, Brian. All right.
Just so we don't
we'll try
go
to
through
sort
this.
it out.
We don't
Yes.
want to go through this again for Kansas City. Is my mother bringing you barbecue or isn't she? Or do you just want me to tell you which Jack stack to go to?
Yeah, where to go in Kansas
Okay.
City? Yeah, that's going to be at the Arvest Bank Theater, September 11th.
Used to be the Midland.
What is the chain of barbecue in KC that when Drew and I saw you back there all those years ago, or you saw us?
Was it?
They kept talking. People kept talking about it. It was definitely a chain.
Was it Jack Stack, Oklahoma Joe's, or Zardo?
Oh, I think it was Oklahoma.
Yeah,
That's the
they're
famous
very
one.
good. I mean, it's good.
Wait a minute. Oklahoma Joe's is the Z-Boy sandwich?
Yes.
Oh, it wasn't Oklahoma
Okay.
Joe's because that's awesome.
I bet you it was Jack Stack.
Have you guys had a Z-Boy?
I have.
God damn.
Z-Man.
A Z-Man.
It is.
Z-Boy.
When my
The sliders of the Z-Boy.
my dad and I flew back for my mom's birthday one year, and we all went to Oklahoma Joe's, and and then we were for cider donuts and wine tastings. Yeah, look at that thing.
Oh.
Two giant
Holy
onion
Christ.
rings.
Is that brisket?
slathered.
Let me say this, Permantes. You fucking hang your head and you bow in front of that Z-Man, because that is an awesome sandwich. All right, Dawson, you have that article out of Chicago. This is another thing that's on my mind because it drives Drew completely and utterly insane. But it's also something we need to kind of worry about as we move forward with our society, which is Drew says your doctor needs to be able to use their experience and then improvise. Like they
Okay.
need to go, here's what I think you need, or here's and we're getting so we're getting into corporate medicine now,
Flow
and these
charts.
mandates are just going down, and this shit is happening now. So this is an article out of Chicago, I think.
From the Chicago Tribune, DuPage County judge orders Elmhurst Hospital to allow COVID-19 patient to receive controversial medication. A DuPage County judge on Monday ordered that Elmhurst Hospital to allow a comatose woman suffering from COVID-19 to receive a medication the Food and Drug Administration says could be unsafe, but the legal fight appears bound to escalate. Nerji Fipe, 68, of Elmhurst, has been in intensive care at the hospital since early April and is now on a ventilator, according to testimony at the court hearing. Her daughter, Deseretta Fipe, is pushing for her mother to receive a medication called ivermectin.
Right, which Drew's on, or had been on, and he's prescribed millions of times because it's pretty ubiquitous.
Normally used to treat diseases caused by parasitic worms. Deseretta Fipe said in an affidavit she learned about the drug in a news article while researching treatment options for her mother. The story, published in the Buffalo News, told of an 80-year-old woman in dire shape from COVID-19 who recovered after her family sued to get her ivermectin. The FDA, however, has cautioned against using ivermectin to treat patients suffering from the virus. It says some people have been hospitalized after self-medicating with a form of the drug intended for horses, and that large doses can be fatal.
Yeah, well, large doses of Tylenol can be fatal. These are self-administering from a horse because they can't get ivermectin.
And by the way, wasn't ketamine originally a horse tranquilizer? And now we use that for what? Seizures and antidepressants and everything else?
So ivermectin has been around for 40 years and is on the list of essential drugs, whatever that CDC essential drug. It's up there with hydroxychloroquine. It's like the point is you could argue it's not effective, and you could argue we don't have research to suggest it, but it's certainly not going to hurt anyone. And if someone is dying, let the fucking doctor try to save the person. Although you should take it early. I think in this article, the poor daughter wanted to get it to the mom early, and they said, no. Not going to do it. Sorry. Keep going.
Another federal agency, the National Institute of Health, has taken a more measured stance, saying that while the drug is well tolerated when used for its intended purposes, there isn't enough information to allow a recommendation for or against using it to treat COVID-19.
But if it's well tolerated, it's well tolerated.
Well, because it's, again, all you have to do is you don't need to be a doctor. If the stuff's ubiquitous, been around for 40 years, and it's been handed out all over the world times billions of doses, and there's people who have, it's like if somebody had lupus, then they would just be on hydroxychloroquine perpetually. So how dangerous could it be? But listen, if someone is dying, Brian got an experimental medication.
Never should have happened.
Well, what if they fought every ounce? We don't have any studies. It's
Even more applicable is it wasn't experimental. It was off-label, right? It was meant for this thing, and they used it for my thing, and that's how medicine works.
That's exactly what this is. It's for something else, but maybe it's effective. So sorry, go ahead.
Elmhurst Hospital's attorney, Joseph Monahan, said that at the hearing, none of its doctors would agree to administer ivermectin for COVID-19.
So this is the scary part. None of the doctors would agree to do this for this dying
because
lady.
Who's going to sue them? What are they afraid of?
The FDA
is going to?
I don't know what's going on recently, but it's like there's this thing going on, which is we bring up something like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, more famously. Everyone pushes back against it. Then people just reflectively go, I'm not going to do it. And then we start parenting. Well, but it comes to like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and it's like we've talked about before with passing, like a network passing, like, somebody passed
Someone
already.
else
I don't want to
passed.
be the one that says yes.
Right. So, sorry, Dawson.
He argued, and an internal ethics panel concluded its use couldn't be justified. He argued that judges shouldn't overrule medical decisions. The court doesn't have the authority to order a medical corporation to use particular medications, particularly when it's an off-label use, particularly when the federal government has said it could be dangerous, he said. He suggested...
Why is the federal government saying it could be dangerous? That's the part...
What did Drew say?
Well... everything got politicized and everything took on a life of its own. So hydroxychloroquine was called dangerous because Trump said something good about it. Ivermectin just got lumped in with, but it's also, think about all of the therapeutics that were pitched and immediately dismissed. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's weird that a lot of doctors were going, hey, you could use this in conjunction with that. And everyone's going, no, it's not. Pull them off the internet. We're not going to put that information out there. Why not have a agnostic sort of posture about it? All right, well, if it worked for you, or maybe it helped some people.
The
or
World
something.
Health Organization was not interested in that.
We got really fucking focused on, no, it's bad.
So the hospital's lawyer suggested that the woman could transfer her mother to another facility where doctors would be willing to use the medication. But Judge James Orrell seemed astonished at the suggestion. Quote, let me get this right. The hospital is willing to transfer a woman in a coma with COVID, he said. Is that what you're telling me? Orrell pointed to an affidavit from Fife's physician, Dr. William Crevier of Orland Park, in which the doctor said he has used the drug successfully for COVID-19 patients since last year. If Elmhurst Hospital's doctors don't want to use ivermectin, Orrell said, they should allow Crevier to administer it. Why wouldn't this be tried if she's not improving, Oral said. Why does the hospital object to providing this medication? If someone has been in the ICU for a month and not improving, why would the hospital not consider another medication? It was still not clear, however, whether the hospital would allow Fipe to receive the medication. Oral said he expected the case to head to an appellate court.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be around forever waiting for them to rule on this. Anyway, Drew was just basically saying there used to be a relationship. The doctor could be kind of fluid. He could use, or her, not that you use a chick doctor, but they could use their experience, their expertise, and whatever, and they could work out, therapeutics and stuff like that. That was up to them. It's not going down that road anymore.
I mean, it's this. I'm not being, either naive or even sarcastic, but like, they took an oath, like, first do no harm. Like, can you just give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not trying to kill their patients?
Yeah, and let her take her to some other hospital.
Yeah.
But also, imagine physically removing someone who's in a coma and like hooked up to all the stuff.
It's not
you're
great.
Hooked up to.
It can't be. No, it's probably very delicate at best.
I mean, obviously that could kill her
Yeah,
in
that's what I'm
that
saying.
state. Why not just let her doctor administer
Yes,
this
it's-
inert drug? I mean, it's not going to work now because you needed to take
Right.
it earlier on.
Right.
But all right, this is where we're getting to.
A little weird.
Let's see. Ivermectin discovered in 1975, came into medical use in 1981. All right, and the World Health Organization put it on a list of essential medications. So it's essential to people who don't have COVID, but if people want to try
Okay.
it, we got a problem. All right, we have Jack Carr, Navy SEAL, ready to go. Is he zooming in? Let me hit Humble, CBD. Need rest and relaxation after a long day at the office? Sick of soreness and inflammation? Let's talk Humble CBD. Wide variety of hemp-derived CBD products. Twist, roll, and relax with their CBD calming balm. Or travel with their CBD twist, a tincture on the go. Smaller than a pack of gum, designed for your pocket. Humble CBD is focused on helping you stay grounded no matter what life brings you. Remember, a tree's beauty lies in its branches, but its strength lies in its roots. Focus, relax, recover with Humble CBD. Right, Dawson?
Now offering 25% off your first order with promo code ADAM. All you have to do is go to humblecbd.com and choose any product that meets your needs. Stay grounded with Humble CBD.
All right, Jack Carr, Navy SEAL, New York Times bestseller, and author is going to join us right after this.
And now, a totally innocuous word that sounds dirty when Mike Dawson says it.
Slippery.
Ew. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Navy SEAL. I don't want to say former Navy SEAL. You're always a Navy SEAL when you're a Navy SEAL.
It's usually the Marines that have a hard time with that. It's the former Marine thing that really trips you up sometimes. But former SEAL is fine, I think, with most of us.
Jack Carr's his name. The Devil's Hand, a thriller, available now on Amazon, everybody. And it's the fourth thriller in the pulse-pounding Terminal List series. Also, he has a podcast, Danger Close with Jack Carr. Good to meet you, Jack.
Great to meet you, too. Actually, I was scheduled to come on last year, right around the time the pandemic hit. So it was like right in mid-April, and then all of a sudden, everything shut down, travel banned. And so I'm glad we're doing it now. It's great to hang out with you guys.
Well, look, we finally figured out how to do this. Now we're all used to it.
There it is. Yep.
20 years with the Navy SEALs, team leader, platoon commander, troop commander, led teams in the Philippines, Afghanistan. What about the Philippines? What's going on with the Navy SEALs in the Philippines?
Yeah, so we had a task force that got put together right after September 11th, and we had a relationship already with that government and in that area of the world well before September 11th, obviously. But they've been fighting an insurgency in that southern island chain for over 100 years now, and there were elements of Al Qaeda. Actually, 9/11, the plan was hatched in the Philippines. A lot of people don't know that. It was approved in Afghanistan, but there was the actual plan that was in 1994, 95. They started hatching this plan out there. They were going to bomb these planes that were headed in the Pacific, taking off from Australia and New Zealand and places like that, and they were all going to explode essentially at the same time mid-flight. There was a fire in an apartment in Manila, and the plan got thwarted only because of that fire. But the plan was hatched there, approved in Afghanistan, and then of course a lot of the training and the planning took place in Hamburg, Germany, San Diego, California, Phoenix, Arizona. So it was international in scope.
Well, let's get back to that original plan. That sounds chilling.
Yeah, it's called Bojinka. Plan Bojinka is what it was called. And part of that was the assassination of the Pope in the Philippines, also in January of 1995. So it was all coordinated and ready to go. So without that fire in Manila in December, I think, of 1994, that probably would have happened.
How many planes did they have slated for the explosion?
So what they found in that fire is they got a computer, and they got the hard drives from that computer. They exploited that intelligence. I'd have to go back and look, but it was several planes mid-flight over the Pacific. So yeah, quite not one. I'd say more than one and less than 10. So somewhere in there.
Wow.
And it was, but how did the fire then give way to the good guys finding out the information?
The fire department came, and two people in the apartment ran. And I think one was apprehended. One got away. He was later apprehended in Pakistan with the Department of the Department of Security Services. DSS got them in Pakistan later that year. But yeah, it was a fire. They were either building a bomb or it was an accident. I've read both. Read both things. But fire department came. These guys looked spooky. They ran, and then they recovered this device and started looking into it, and then it fell apart from there.
Wow. Well, we have a Filipino producer on this show. I didn't know that your homeland was also the birthplace of terrorism.
Yeah.
But what good news if your country didn't have such shoddy wiring codes, the apartment would have never caught on fire, and we'd have a bunch of dead Australians. So tip of the cap.
Thank you.
For that.
It's possible.
Wow. So you're deployed there in that year or shortly after?
A little after. So yeah, a little after. So right on September 11th, I was in Guam. It was my second deployment. And in Guam, it was about the middle of the night, and people start banging on doors in the barracks up and down the hallway. And we had a TV in the basement. So the whole platoon met down there, and we watched the Twin Towers fall on TV. And of course, we thought we were going right to Afghanistan the next day. But the U.S. military and political establishment being what it is, it's a gigantic bureaucracy. And it took a little while to get things off the ground. So we ended up flying to the Middle East probably a few weeks later. And we thought, once again, we were going into Afghanistan. But what we did was enforce the UN embargo against Iraq, the oil embargo. So we boarded ships in what was then called the Northern Arabian Gulf. They'd head out of Iraq, take a sharp left-hand turn for Iranian waters, and we'd have to climb on, board them, and turn them around and get them back into international waters before they hit Iran. So that's what we did right afterward.
Bouncer.
Other guys, that's it. A lot of guys went right into Afghanistan, though, but I ended up there about a year later.
What kind of ships were you boarding?
Everything from small dhows to the gigantic Class 3 tankers. So at the time, I was enlisted SEAL sniper, and so I'm on the bridge of these things. And what they would do is they would take barbed wire and take it and string it all over the ship. So if you came in a helicopter and dropped off this fast rope, it would get tangled up in this barbed wire. So you couldn't go in that way.
You couldn't rappel down.
Right. Fast rope is like holding on and you just slide down, but the same thing.
Right.
And then so we'd go in, so they'd wait till the worst weather, middle of the night, and they'd head out, and then they'd take the sharp left-hand turn for Iran, and we'd have to zoom up on the sides with boats, climb on board, and then they take all the ladders that are on ships so you can climb up these different levels. They saw those off, and then all the doors and windows, they soldered on, welded on these different sheets of metal so that you had to then take your exothermic torch and saws, get through that, get inside, figure out how to turn this thing around, and get it back in about 15 or 20 minutes to do that.
Wow. So the boat, let me just see if we can paint the picture. It's nighttime.
Yep.
Terrible weather,
and the boat's moving at a full clip. I mean, they're not going half speed. They're going as fast as they can go. And you're pulling up next to them in what kind of craft?
Like a smaller, it's called a RIB, a rigid hull inflatable boat. So it's like 33, 33 feet? Anyway, it's like a small rubber boat, and you can fit, I don't know, 8, 10, 11 guys on there, something like that. And you had a couple of them and you'd zoom up alongside and then you'd throw these ladders up and hook in the middle of the night, pull the hook away, and it would unroll this little thing called a caving ladder, which is about that big. And then you'd climb up this thing and banging off the side of the ship, hoping that it's holding up there with this little tiny hook on it. And get over the side and then clear that ship.
How soon would they know that somebody had boarded the ship? Would they see you coming or no?
I don't know if they would see us coming on their radar or not, or if they had some early warning people out there that were looking with night vision and that sort of thing. They expected it though. So they expected to be boarded, which is why they would be going so fast in bad weather, take that left and get to Iranian waters as fast as they could. So they expected it. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a good time.
That's one, I've interviewed many SEALs and they've talked about many jobs, but I never really thought about that job. God, that sounds hairy because, everyone's greatest nightmare is to fall into the ocean at night.
Not interested.
Right?
Yeah.
And especially during bad weather, but especially right next to a big
From
ship.
that great height, yeah.
And you got to throw
I did that. I had that experience.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever talked about this before because most people, we talk about Iraq, we talk about Afghanistan, we talk about direct action missions and sniper missions. So no one really ever asks about this. But so after you turn that big ship around, so Class 3 tankers are the gigantic like oil tankers that you see off the coasts of the United States, the ones that come in gigantic cargo ships. So you turn that thing around, it takes a little while, and you get it out there in international waters, and then you bring on what's called a prize crew. And these guys are people who actually know how to drive these big ships. The SEALs, we don't know. We're just knuckle draggers turning this thing around, getting it out of Iranian waters, and get it to a place where the prize crew comes on. And these are people from the regular Navy that actually know how to run these things. And then we would turn it over to them.
The side of a tanker, the side of the ship's got to be 5 stories, right? I mean, they're
big. They're huge.
It's big.
Huge. Yeah,
okay.
They're huge.
Sorry.
Sometimes you have to do multiple. Yeah, you have to do multiple hooks to get up there. So it's crazy. But at the end of one of these, we get back on our little boats, and then we go back to a bigger boat that then takes us to this large amphibious ship that we're working off of. So middle of the night, the seas are still terrible. You have to get back from this little rubber boat onto this bigger thing called a Mark V, kind of like a PT boat. That's the best way to describe it. And then as I was stepping across to get onto this PT boat thing, this Mark V hit this wave and with all my stuff. I was the radio guy. I had the radio, my rifle, full loadout of gear, everything went right between the two, middle of the night. My platoon chief thought that was the last that he was ever going to see of me. But the interesting thing is that my one and only thought was, hey, if I have to drop this radio that has crypto in it, meaning if you lose crypto, then everybody in the theater has to change their crypto in all their radios, and they'll know that a SEAL lost crypto. And so I'm like, I can't drop this pack. I have to swim it. So I swam this thing up just because I didn't want people to make fun of me for losing the crypto in the middle of the Northern Arabian Gulf at night. And boat turned around, came back, and they got me out of there. But it was a good time.
I love shame as a motivator.
It is a big motivator.
Yeah.
I almost chose death over shame.
Yeah. I wish there was more of that. We were talking at the top of the show about John Popper, who likes from Blues Traveler, who likes his guns, and we're talking about range. And now you're a sniper. You were a sniper. What kind of range did they want you to have as a sniper, and where was the kind of Mason-Dixon line of I'm not taking this shot because I'm too far out? What was that distance?
Yeah, well, it more depends on the weather conditions, the wind, and on those sorts of things, rather than the distance. The distance is important, of course, but then you have other factors. So a distance in perfect weather with no wind or anything like that is different than full value wind coming from an angle that can throw your round off target. So there's a lot of factors in there, and each one depends on the weapon system that you're using. So for a 50 cal, which we use the bolt action Remington 700 and McMillan 50 cal, that was about 1,600 yards was about what you would be comfortable taking a shot at. So a mile, essentially, with that one.
Wow.
Other things like a 300 Win Mag, which was really our workhorse, that was about 1,400. And you felt comfortable out to 1,200. Then a 308 or 762, you're comfortable. You get dope out to about 1,200, but you're comfortable to 1,000. So each one of those different weapon systems has a different effective range.
Wow.
What would you, Brian's got a question, but first, when you're looking through the scope a mile out with the bolt action 50 cal, what are you really seeing through the scope? I mean, how much of your target are you just seeing their torso? Are you seeing their whole body? Like, what are you looking at a mile out with that bolt
That's
action?
more like an area weapon. So you have a scope that is more powerful than the one that you have on your other weapon systems, obviously, because you're shooting farther. You can zoom that thing in. But because you zoom in on those things, that means that if you bump it at that kind of a distance, then I remember it getting very difficult to find your target again, because you've zoomed in like this, all of a sudden you bump it and you're over here, and then you have to go back over here rather than having a larger field of view, being able to see what's going on. So if you're off, you still see your target and you just come back on. So there's a lot of factors at play there. But that one's more what we'd call an area weapon at that range. So you're taking out an engine block, you're taking out a plane, something like that. We use them to take out the speakers that were on these on buildings in Iraq, particularly in the campaign to retake Najaf in the summer of 2004. It was a 2-week campaign of urban combat the entire time. And that was against the Muqtada al-Sadr's militia, and that called the Jaish al-Mahdi militia. And they were communicating through this system where they would just talk. So they're speaking Arabic through these speakers, so you can hear it, and they're talking and maneuvering forces via this network. And so we would shoot the speakers with the 50 cal off these the side of these buildings. So it was very effective in doing that.
Wow.
Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I imagine the Navy SEAL sniper community is fairly small. Did you know Chris Kyle? Did you serve with them? Do you know him?
Yeah, so we didn't meet. I never met him. He took over from us in Ramadi in 2006, but I'd already moved on to do another special program in Baghdad, so we never physically crossed paths.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said podcast or a real.
Yeah, it was a podcast. I needed to jump on, so I had to get over there.
Did you find movies like American Sniper like realistic, accurate, true to what you experienced? Because that's all we know about the whole experience.
Right. So whoever did the set design on that movie did a fantastic job, because that's what Ramadi 2005, 2006 looked like. Whoever did that, they got that right. They got the uniforms right, that sort of thing. They missed up a couple things, like he calls home in the middle of a firefight, calls his wife. Like that part, not so much. You definitely get kicked out of the unit and sent home for doing that.
Call the girlfriend for sure.
Yeah, that's a strange time to pick to call home on the sat phone. But then they also got right what it feels like to come home, the way they visually told that story. Of him coming home. I think one time he's just watching TV. There's nothing on it, I think.
That's the scene I always refer to whenever that movie gets brought up. That scene is so chilling. You see him and you hear the sounds of war, like he's watching it on TV, and you turn around and the TV's off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they got that part right. You're fighting in the streets of Iraq or Afghanistan one day, and then less than 24 hours later, you're home and you're maybe changing your first diaper. You're going through some bills. You're leaky faucet, like all these things that you weren't focused on downrange, because downrange you have your best friends to your right and left, your teammates, you're focused on the mission at hand, and you're not worried about any of those things. And then you come home and they're on your plate again.
How would you assess the skill level of the American fighting force and the equipment versus some of the places you're in and what you're dealing with?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because the people you're fighting against are essentially, they're using AK-47s and variants. They're making their bombs. They're using the same RPGs that have been around for decades. And then you have the most technologically superior equipment in the world. And they're not, and look what we've been doing for the last 20 years. So it's interesting to think of it in those terms, those asymmetric type terms. But our equipment got very good over the last 20 years. When we first entered Iraq and Afghanistan, we'd come out of the Clinton years, and we were using some legacy type gear. There wasn't really anything to spur that innovation. So we learned a lot. We applied those lessons to our gear and our tactics, and we got very good over the last 20 years at war at the tactical level. Now at the strategic level, so up here when we're talking about our politicians and senior level military leaders, not so much. For whatever reason, they seem unable to grasp what kind of a situation they're committing U.S. forces to. They don't understand the nature of the conflict in which they're engaged, and they haven't really learned over the years. So what we do on the battlefield at the tactical level is we're always learning. We're always adapting to the enemy. Enemy's always adapting to us. We're looking for gaps in the enemy's defenses. We're looking to capitalize on momentum, all these things. And then you have these senior level leaders that seem to just fail upward. So back in World War II, like George Marshall is known for the Marshall Plan. after World War II. But really, during World War II, what he did was fire everyone who did not meet standards. Anyone who did not perform, gone. And really, in Vietnam, we started to see this change where people who didn't perform stayed in those positions. And not only did they stay in those positions, then they either retired to make a lot of money on different boards, or they moved up in the complex. So it's changed a lot over the years, and it hasn't moved back. People aren't held accountable really for performance at those senior levels these days. They fail up.
Well, Biden was talking about getting out of Afghanistan, right? Am I making that up?
No, you're not.
And is that a good thing? It's weird that these questions always seem to be unanswerable and we seem to be split. I'll tell you what's vexing to me in this country, but just in the world. Someone goes, well, we gotta raise taxes. We'll make more money. And then the other economist goes, no, you cripple the economy. Can we just get an answer to whether this helps or doesn't help? And then you go, we need to pull troops out of Afghanistan. Some of those people were there, some of those people's kids are there. And again, what are we doing? It's an endless war. And then someone else goes, are you crazy?
Yeah. The whole regional destabilized.
Why can't we have an expert? I mean, is it all political? Can we not arrive at an answer?
What is your politics and everything?
What is your opinion about pulling out of Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think it's about. It's time it's time to leave. Hopefully, we have put in place different networks that allow us to keep tabs on what's going on there. We've had 20 years to establish different intelligence networks to get human intelligence sources over there at various levels. So say if we went in 2001, 2002, 2003, you establish a source over there who is now not 25 years old anymore. Now he's moved his way up and he's a senior level person. So hopefully our intelligence services have been smart enough to do this. And I hope they have been. I would think they have been. But at the same time, we went in there to destroy al-Qaeda, to disrupt al-Qaeda operations. We did that a lot faster than most people thought we could at the time. And then we took on this extra burden of nation building. We decided that we were going to combat corruption in Afghanistan. We were going to do all these things. We were going to look at sanctuaries in Iran and Pakistan. So we're going to do all these things that really have no end to them. You can spend the rest of your life trying to combat the political system and instill these different the Western ideas of democracy into Afghanistan, and you might never get there. So you could spend 50 years, 100 years doing that very same thing. So you have to come to a point where, hey, did we destroy al-Qaeda? Do we inhibit their operations enough where we can bring people home, where we don't have to stay here forever? And I think we hit that a long time ago. But hopefully we have these intelligence networks still set up there. And also the world has changed. Before September 11th, in the 90s, 80s, you needed a physical place to train. So Bekaa Valley, of course, was one of those places. Hezbollah trained. Afghanistan was one. Sudan was one. There's these different places around the world where you physically needed to go and train and learn these things. Well, now, since 2001, we can do that virtually. Mm-hmm. We can get on we can do a lot of this planning, a lot of this training in a virtual space. So those physical locations aren't as important as they were back in 2001. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of that planning didn't take place in Afghanistan. It took place in Hamburg and San Diego and these other places. So hopefully we're taking these lessons and applying them to future decisions in a way that makes us a little wiser, but I'm not hopeful.
Let me just get some clarity. Are we able to train virtually, or are they able to train virtually? Are we both able to train virtually?
Yeah, we can both train virtually, but if you're a terrorist organization, you're recruiting someone online, then you don't need to get that person a plane ticket from, say, Chicago through Germany to Tehran to then Kabul. You had to do maybe in the 90s or something like that, but early 2000s. Now, hey, you can go and visit. You can talk about it in a secure
Google Hangout.
Yeah, go to Google Hangouts or something like that. So there are spaces where you can do that sort of thing. And of course, we're looking at that, but the internet's a big place.
I got Rob Schneider's next film, which is Al-Qaeda IT.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, he's the bumbling guy. Yeah. He's coming in
Screws everything up.
They're always telling him he gets recruited by the CIA, but he doesn't have any training at all. They're pissed off because the virtual training is not going well.
And I don't know if this is going to help at all. Something. I think he might be part Filipino.
Oh, he can do any accent.
Yeah, good.
Any accent. So, sorry, Gene, were you going to ask?
I am curious. When you were over there, were you married or did you have kids yet?
I did. So I didn't have kids initially, but I was married, and we're still married today. So
God bless
one
you.
of the few. Yeah, there's.
I wonder.
The marriages take a hit.
I wonder about that. Well, I'm thank you for your candor, because I do wonder about that. I don't have any military in my family, and I don't really know anyone. So the one question that I can't ever process is how can a marriage survive something like this, or why would you put yourself through this? Or it feels so counterintuitive to be married and then go, bye, I'm going to this super dangerous place. I can't tell you where I'm going, and I don't know when I'll be back.
Yeah, no, it's tough because the pendulum has to be on the side of the team. And I think it's important to be able to talk to your spouse about that, and they have to be on board with it, because especially as a leader, that's what you owe the people you're taking downrange. That's what you owe their families. That's what you owe the mission. That's what you owe the country. That pendulum has to be on that team. And if you're talking to your spouse about it, for us anyway, we talked about eventually when I'm out of the military, that pendulum's swinging back to focus on the family again. But you have to have a spouse partner that is on board, knowing that they are second. And that's just how it has to be. They are 100% second. Your family is second to the team. And they have to be on board with that. They have to know that.
When you came back,
that's tough. Not everybody can do it.
Oh, sure. And I wonder, I don't know if you experienced this, but I'm sure it's on some level, like you said, the adjustment, I don't know if it was post-traumatic stress or just that adjustment period. Was your wife understanding to that?
I think the only time I had a hard time coming back was after that deployment to in 2005, 2006. So it was a very busy time in Iraq, and it was one of the best deployments I ever had. It was amazing. We're doing the work every single night. I was attached to it's called the Covert Action Unit that actually inspired my second novel, True Believer. But I got back from that, and I wanted to be back. So I was just thinking, I was like, oh man, I want to be back. What are the guys doing tonight? Wow. What's happening? And my wife was like, hey, snap out of it. I was like, oh, okay. So that's all it took for us. But other than that, I was usually very good at coming back and flipping that switch, and then going from being downrange, doing that job, kicking those doors in the middle of the night, to now coming home and realizing that, okay, it's time to get back into training and also balance the family and all that stuff. But knowing that, hey, my job now is to take those lessons that I learned on the battlefield, pass those along to the people that we're training up now and getting ready to go downrange with, and being a better operator, a better combat leader because of that experience. So you have to be all in all the time on that if you're in the military. And of course, my experience is very slim in special operations. That was the focus. So I'll speak to that. But in special operations, that has to be your focus. Wow.
The Terminal List is one of your books that's filming a new TV series for your first book. And Chris Pratt is starring an executive producer.
That's right.
Talk about that. That's exciting.
Yeah. What's crazy is that as I was writing the book, so as I started to get out of the military, that pendulum started to come back. So I realized I'm getting out. It's called dropping your papers. And when you do that, you tell the military you're getting out, and they put you in a different pile, which means that you have to now get out of this gigantic bureaucracy, and you have to stand in a lot of lines. So you go to medical, and you go to dental, and you go turn in gear, and you get right out of secret programs. And to do each one of these things, you have to make an appointment, which are more lines. So you have essentially a year of waiting in line to do all these things, which gave me time to write. And since I was a little kid, I knew that I wanted to write. I grew up surrounded by books and this love of reading. My mom was a librarian, and I knew that was my next thing. So I started writing, and I thought, who's going to play this character? Chris Pratt. Wow. And I just had that thought. And he'd only been Andy Dwyer on Parks and Rec, and he had a very small role in Zero Dark 30.
I was about to ask about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was something there. I was like, he had this one role. I was like, who's the guy that's this generation's Tom Hanks? Because in the 80s, remember Tom Hanks, bosom buddies, he's doing all the comedy. And then he takes a risk with Philadelphia. Right. And from then he could do anything else that he wanted. I was like, who's that guy that needs to take a risk, that's kind of known for being more fun and that sort of thing? Because I need a likable character as well. And I thought, that's Chris Pratt.
And willing to drop a few pounds.
Back then, exactly.
I mean, same as Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah, that's for Castaway.
That's right.
Well, Philadelphia.
Oh, and Philadelphia, right?
Come on, Gina.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, big time.
Sorry, I
big
didn't
time.
love that movie as much as you guys did.
And so what was crazy, though, is that I had no connection to him, no connection to anybody in Hollywood. And then right before the book came out, like 4 months before it comes out, I get this call from an old buddy of mine in the SEAL teams, and I hadn't talked to him in about 5 years. And he says, hey, I always wanted to call you and thank you for what you did for me in the SEAL teams. And I couldn't even remember what it was. And he said, you sat me down, you talked to me about transition, you introduced me to people in the private sector. Nobody else took the time to do that. And I always wanted to thank you. And I said, no problem. And then he said, I heard you have a book coming out. And I said, yeah, I have a book coming out. I can send you a rough draft. It comes out in a few months. And he said, well, I'd like to give it to a friend of mine. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Who's that? he said, Chris Pratt. And so Chris read it in December of 2017, and January 2018, he called and wanted to option it. So
Nice.
we were off to the races, and now we're filming, and Antoine Fuqua was directing, and it's 350 people on set there in LA. And it's incredible to see it all come together. It's just completely surreal.
What network, if that's even a term anymore, is it going to be on?
Amazon Prime, sometime in 2022. But
and it's shooting in LA?
Shooting in LA.
That's good to know.
It's crazy.
Harbinger of good things.
Yeah, it's amazing to be out there and seeing how they do all the stunts. And it's very much like a military operation. You have Kraft Food Services is like the Army logistics chain feeding everybody. You have the explosives guy there. You have the mobility transportation guy moving the cars around, just like we have in the platoon. You have the weapons guy you're trading your weapons with, and he's marking off as the actors get back and hand them in at the end of the day. And then you have Antoine as this like CO, the commanding officer, who's setting the tone up here. And you have Chris as like the platoon commander, troop commander at that tactical level, setting the tone there. So it's very much like a military operation.
Wow. What
more fun.
It's so clairvoyant, prescient, I guess, of you to...
Jack calls it Beshert.
Beshert, to be thinking about the guy from Parks and Rec playing that part.
Yeah.
And small in Zero Dark Thirty. I'm trying to...
It was a small part. He was part of SEAL Team 6, the last third of the movie. Remember the Bin Laden raid?
Yeah.
Wow. Can you hang around with us and do some news with us, Jack?
Let's do it.
All right, let me hit Tommy John, and then we'll get into some news. Tommy John, man, the best. Oh, man, when you're wearing Tommy John's hammock pouch underwear, you're so much more comfortable. You do everything better. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. They've sold over 13 million pairs. I feel like I've said that for 9 months, so we got to be up to at least 14 million by now. I only wear Tommy John, and you will too. Dozens of comfort innovations like air mesh interior hammock, moisture wicking fabric with 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Once you've tried Tommy John, you're never going to go back to your former underwear. It is the best. I wear them every day, especially good if you're rowing on a rowing machine or hitting a cycle, Soul Cycle, or out jogging or being active. It's the best pair you'll ever wear. It's free, guaranteed, right, Dawson?
And right now, you get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's 20% off your first order of underwear and loungewear at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Jack Carr is going to hang with us. We'll be right back with the news right after this.
Give me the news with crack. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Hey, quick question for Jack.
Yes, sir.
In terms of people acclimating when they come back from the theater of operations back here, I'm not an expert in this because I never served. I was never a Navy SEAL, but I have been around a little bit, did a lot of construction, played a lot of Pop Warner football. Does it drive you insane what incredible pussies everyone has turned into in this fucking country? Like, I have zero tolerance for everyone turning into a giant gaping snatch. It's fucking ridiculous. If you're over a certain age and you've been on a construction site and you played some ball and you've ridden a motorcycle, it just feels like everyone is just a fucking colossal puss. And for you, it must be 1,000 times what I experience on a daily basis.
I mean, I totally understand exactly. I understand exactly what you're talking about.
You don't know my pain.
You boxed. You boxed too. I boxed growing up as well. And, being in that ring, that's some of the hardest. When I was in Buds, actually, I thought about being in the ring. I thought about early days in jiu-jitsu in the early 90s when Brazilian jiu-jitsu first got here, and just how hard that ring time was, how hard that time on the mat was as I was going through SEAL training and Hell Week and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it does. And what I think about, what actually hurts more than that is just thinking about everything that people sacrificed from the inception of this country up until today to give us these freedoms, give us these opportunities. They sacrificed everything for us. And now here we are getting upset at this and that, and actually championing the curtailing of the freedoms that these people died for, that came back missing arms and legs from different battlefields around the world. So that's kind of what I think about more often than not, is just how sad that is.
All right, Gina, you can get on with your news.
All right.
Buds is basic underwater demolition, right?
That's right. Basic underwater demolition SEAL training. Nice work.
Underwater demolition?
Boom.
Oh, yeah. Boom.
Damn, that's the hottest thing I've ever heard of.
No.
All right. Well, a St. Paul man has been sentenced to 41 months in prison for his role in the burning of the Minneapolis Police Department 3rd Precinct during protests last year. 23-year-old Brandon Wolf, along with a crowd of hundreds gathered at the 3rd Precinct on May 28th last year, pushed a barrel into a fire located in the entrance of the 3rd Precinct headquarters with the intent to accelerate the existing fire. Wolf was arrested in June of last year while he was wearing several stolen items and pleaded guilty last December.
I know where I got this Kango hat? Don't ask.
To one count of conspiracy.
I'm just saying as an example. Could have been any hat.
You asked me if I wanted to know, and now you're saying don't ask.
Don't ask.
And talk about an empty bag. Along with his prison sentence, Wolf was sentenced to 2 years of supervised release and ordered to pay $12 million in restitution. And he's not alone. Last week, another man, Dylan Shakespeare Robinson, was sentenced to 4 years of prison, pleading guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit arson as well in the burning of the precinct. He also ordered 2 years of supervised release, $12 million restitution.
I bet he could only rustle up like 8.7.
Yeah, 8.5 maybe.
Without a little more advance notice.
I think you're right.
Pick up a lot of litter on the side of the highway.
Jesus Christ. Well, good.
I mean, is that just just so we can say what? You're not going to get $24 million.
Well, I think it's like what we do when we give a guy like 14 consecutive life sentences.
Yeah.
It's like
message.
Yeah, you're just going. You're going to die in prison.
Right.
I mean, that's how we do the law.
And you'll never be able to work hard enough to pay this money back.
Right.
A series of love letters handwritten by President John F. Kennedy to his Swedish mistress are going up for sale at a Boston auction house, according to CNN. The intimate letters addressed to Gunilla von Post. She's an aristocrat he met weeks prior to his marriage to Jackie. Revealed
Gina,
Kennedy.
as a woman, series of love letters. You finding a series of love letters that your man is writing to his mistress worse than finding the back of his sack when you come walking in and he's fucking her, right?
Yes.
As a guy, we don't want to see that. But as a woman, a series of love letters, much.
You can burn them, you can tear them up. Doesn't take that sting away. Doesn't take the
it's the effort.
Yeah, you can see
you
the
guys are
penmanship
all
when you
about
close your
effort.
eyes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fucking
We don't
part.
want Tori Amos's old flowers.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
That happened
Sorry.
to Adam. I mean, we
she's
don't.
a looker.
We don't want to see. Yeah, we have a picture of her.
But
actually.
also, Jackie is probably thinking about the time that for their anniversary, he just sent a Secret Service guy out to buy some flowers from the Mexican guy at the gas station or something.
So he could see Marilyn.
They have a rose garden, for God's sake. If they
he dispatched someone from the kitchen to go pick something. She knows. It's effort, right?
You're absolutely right. And we have a picture of her. She was quite fetching. The 8-page collection, which includes 1 full letter and 2 partial messages, come from Von Post's personal collection. They're expected to fetch about $30,000. She died in 2011. Prior to her death, though, she wrote a memoir about her relationship with him called Love, Jack.
He had a lot of
concubines.
Yeah.
Conquests.
He had a lot because I've seen a few people interviewed on him.
Yeah. And it's funny. I mean, isn't that kind of how it went with Martin Luther King? Like,
Well,
this is
yeah.
just kind of how it.
Men, it turns out.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
We're not doing a retroactive Me Too, but for a guy with a bad back, he fucked a lot of strangers. You know what I mean? If you're banging your wife with a bad back, you can lay it out. Like, all right, here's the positions I can do. You understand with the sciatica and
This
whatever.
isn't Cirque du Soleil.
I need you to sign this.
I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone.
Right, but when you're with the Swedish model is 22,
good luck.
You can't go in there holding. Where's the domes?
You're the prez? No way, man.
Yeah.
A hemorrhoid donut.
That's
he had to bring his
right.
A game.
Wow.
$30,000.
Do we know what the letters said?
Do we have? I didn't see any photographs. There weren't any photographs in the archive of the letters.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we can rustle that up because I'd be interested as well. Unfortunately for France, that country just got a little bit smaller.
You know what?
Yeah.
cheating used to just be a thing like you had, like polio. You know what I mean? Like, he loves the ladies.
Yeah.
But he's married to
It's a
one.
wandering eye.
Oh, he's a man about town. It's like, okay, I guess just some condition he got, and he just fucks strangers.
What are you going to do?
He loves ladies.
What can be done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read today that the trust in government was at its height in the early part of JFK's presidency. So I'm not saying there's a direct correlation here between these two events, between trust in government and the mistress there. But I mean, I'm not saying that there's not either.
That's interesting.
Well, they say it's like the highest pressure job in the world. They always talk about how it ages everyone.
Yeah, everyone turns gray.
It didn't age Trump for some reason, but he just looked like shit at the beginning. But you see these guys getting gray. It's like so stressful. Well, if you could argue that, well, you should take saunas and steam baths and get a massage. We need stress reduction here.
Self-care.
That's banging an intern in the pool,
If that's what he's got to do, he's running the free world.
That's what I'm saying.
Question,
judge.
and I would love.
We have a Kennedy letter from 1956.
Is this the one?
Yeah, and the penmanship is awful, but I must say, I was sad to learn that.
Yeah, you ever tried writing with a boner? You got to try it.
Now it makes sense.
It's so
Literally
good.
with the bone. That's hard.
I must say that I was sad to learn that, after all, you are not coming to the U.S.
No.
If you don't marry, come over, as I should like to see you. I had a wonderful time last summer with you. It is a bright memory of my life. I am anxious to see you. Is it not strange after all these months? Perhaps at first it shall be a little difficult, as we shall be strangers, but not strangers. And I am sure it will all work, and I shall think that though it is a long way to Gunilla, it is worth it.
Yeah, that's her name.
Okay, time has passed.
That's 1956. When was he married?
He was a senator at that point, right? Because he was elected in 1960.
Yeah, it's on Senator paper here.
Oh, so this has been going on for a while because this was Gunilla came into the picture in 1953, according to this article.
But when did he marry Jackie?
1953, right?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, somewhere in that time.
He met her, this article says,
at his wedding.
prior to his even before, prior to his 1953 marriage to Jackie.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
All right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least he's faithful, I guess,
Loves the
to his
ladies.
mistresses. Yeah. A Belgian farmer moved a 330-pound stone on his property just so he could make room for his tractor to go by. But what he didn't realize is that he actually moved the border between Belgium and France. Local historians were recently walking the area and noting a line of stone markers which have been placed there, the 200-year-old border between the two countries. They noticed that one of the stones had been moved onto the French side, thus expanding the size of Belgium by 7 feet. While the town in Belgium was happy to have the space, the French town on the other side did ask him to move it back. The farmer was told to move the stone or he would be charged and fined.
Jack, what do you know about the Maginot Line?
Ooh, yeah, you don't want to be there. Yeah, I know that.
The French. Yeah, sorry.
Tell us.
The French built this thing called the Maginot Line, like after World War I, and they decided to build this great wall with all these tracks and ways to move armament and stuff, and keep, if Hitler got a little nutty or another European country, and they built all this stuff to move all this stuff to make their stuff sort of impenetrable, and then the Blitzkrieg came and they just flew right over it and bombed the shit out of France.
Because it was from the early 30s, right?
They probably started the Maginot Line after World War I. Yeah, probably in like the early 30s, and they weren't thinking about Stukas and
how could
and
they?
hurricanes
Nice work,
and,
geniuses.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's all about adaptation. Yeah, all about adaptation. The enemy's always looking at us. We're always looking at them, and the Germans adapted.
Max Spada, find me the Maginot Line and like how long it was and what it was on the border of France and not Belgium, maybe. I don't know. And it didn't work.
Didn't work.
No,
that's
but
the lesson.
They put a lot of time into it. It just didn't pay off. We should move it to the Mexican border out here. We should see if we can move the Maginot Line out there.
Something else that doesn't work?
Yeah.
It says constructed on the French side of its borders with Italy, Switzerland, Germany, and Luxembourg.
And what year was it?
1929 to 1938 was when they were building it.
Yeah. It's a big project. And I think they had like tunnels and railways and stuff, and they could move troops. And the whole plan was we're going to move troops where we need them, and we're going to move cannons where we need them. It's all in this railroad and this fortified.
Great
and
plan.
Germans just rolled right over it.
Whoopsie. Question for Jack. I feel like it would have come up.
I watch a lot of the History Channel, in case
you're wondering.
You don't know.
We were talking about how fast presidents go gray, and it's always been my thinking that part of that is because they're given all the secrets to all the extraterrestrial stuff.
The burden of knowledge.
Yes. Jack, any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know about the extraterrestrial part, but in my latest novel, I did some research into this. So in The Devil's Hand, I did some research into this.
It's all bullshit.
Because I needed a character that that made his way to the presidency. He had a background, he comes from a very wealthy family, gets into early tech startup stuff. 9/11 happens. His fiance is killed in the tower, so he devotes himself to the military, goes to 10th Mountain Division, is wounded overseas, comes back. But the whole point of all this is so he can find out information that the rest of us don't have, because the president doesn't have a security clearance. The president can look at anything that they want. The president probably wouldn't pass a security check like the rest of us have to get in the military, or that FBI agents or CIA operatives have to get. So that was the whole point of the novel. So yes, the presidents do have access to really anything that they want, but they have to know what to ask for. So no one just walks in and says, "Here's all the secrets. What do you want to look at?"
Give me aliens.
You have to know. Yeah, exactly, alien stuff. So if you have to actually know where to look, what to ask for, those sorts of things, and you can task people, of course. But if you don't know the questions to ask, then you don't get those kind of answers that you're looking for. So, it was definitely interesting. So it's a character that people really like.
I believe I heard somewhere that maybe it's as soon as June 15th, but they're going to turn over all of what they know about UFOs. The government.
Oh boy,
is.
Do we like this or not? Or are you gonna? Is everyone gonna be so jaded that no one's gonna care? Like I think they will.
Speaking personally, I'm older than you guys. I grew up all around UFO talk and all movies about UFOs and lots of TV shows about UFOs and a lot of obsession with UFOs. Recently, some footage has come out taken from some ships and some planes about stuff that people are now confirming as UFOs, and I'm not that interested. And I have no idea why.
Yeah, short of an alien corpse, like I don't know if I wanted to say like, oh, something was spotted over so-and-so, like, eh.
But I think I heard that June, for some reason I have the date June 15th in my head or something, but that the White House and the government was just going to go, we're going to turn over what we got.
Now let's go down this conspiracy rabbit hole, because my first question is why? Why now? What are they distracting us from?
That's a good point.
That is, we're all going to be like, whoa, somebody saw something one time. What are we not looking at that we should be looking
Kamala
at?
Yeah, that's right.
Or maybe there's a whole shitload of real scary UFO stuff, and they go, we're just going to give you everything we got, and it's a bunch of nothing.
Right.
Maybe then we're quelled.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But imagine if this had come out in like 1985 or something like that. We would be so much more interested. Have a Geraldo special on it where he's going to unveil something. You know, it'd be this whole thing. And now we're like, just add it to the list of craziness from the last year. We're totally. I'm with you. You know, it's just like, okay, it's another thing. That,
if I told my kids I have a UFO corpse, they wouldn't look up from their phone. Chris, can you find that date? Am I making that up? There's some proclamation that the government is going to share what they know.
Well, he's looking
for that.
Sometimes
they talk about these dates, and then like with the JFK stuff, I think Trump said he was going to there's still these files that have not been opened from the JFK assassination. And he had a date on the calendar and he was going to open them up. And then I think he got a visit from a couple people from the CIA who they always say, to protect sources and methods, we can't let this stuff out. So I think he let a couple of them open, but not everything. So it's crazy how that happens. They put these dates on and then they don't follow up. They distract you with something else.
Tangential question, as long as we're talking about presidents and military and everything, isn't it crazy how, considering the president's the commander in chief, how little military experience matters now in electing a president?
He doesn't need any.
He or she, Gina.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. So yeah, I was talking to a congressman yesterday actually about how the percentage, and he told me the percentage of people with military experience in Congress, and I think he said 13%, which surprised me. I thought it would be a lot lower actually these days, which is different. If you go back, it was a lot different. Obviously, after World War II, there's a lot more experience in there. So it is semi-shocking how many people get into. I shouldn't say it is shocking because the people want that power and control, but how little they experience, real world experience they actually have. What they understand is politics and power. They don't even understand the Constitution or the history behind why we have some of these amendments to the Constitution, or why we have some of the laws in place that we do, or some laws that maybe that aren't in place or shouldn't be in place. So the perspective that a lot of our elected leaders have is really based these days off tweets rather than on a deep dive into the requisite time, energy, and effort that they should be putting into the study of history, so they can apply those lessons going forward in a way that benefits the country. But instead, it's all about tweets and power these days.
I would take, as a taxpayer, I would take, you must have military experience and or have run a restaurant or a B&B for more than 19 months. I need some sort of boots on the ground.
Right.
Like running a restaurant, if you told me, oh, this guy ran a chain of restaurants for 10 years, I'd go, okay, that's a guy who understands budget and time and allocations, not like weird pie in the sky.
Right.
You know, I feel like omelets deserve a place. That's a real, there's inventory, then you got to deal.
No one's buying it. 86 it.
Yeah, you have to deal with the staff.
Yeah.
It's always a constant thing. The customer, the taxpayers got to be happy. Like I would take running that, and it made me think of that famous, I think it was a George McGovern thing where he was in politics for a long time, and then he got out and he got on the speaking circuit, and then he saved up his money, and then he went to go open a B&B. He went to go open a B&B, and it failed. And then when he was done, he was like, I wish I knew half this shit when I was a politician. I wouldn't have made all these rules.
Oh, my God.
Like, I didn't know what it was like to try to run a business. All I did was make rules for people who tried to run a business. But if I'd known then what I know now, I wouldn't have made all those rules.
And either serving in the military in some capacity or running some sort of a business is not a bridge too far. It's not a lot to ask that somebody was somehow involved in military service or somehow managed a business.
I would like that.
I think the business is more important than the military service, especially if they get up, because once they hit these certain ranks, you essentially become a politician in uniform. Not everybody, but a lot of people. So let's say you're an admiral or a general sitting there at the Pentagon, and you see your buddy who just got out 2 years earlier sitting on the board of Raytheon, attending one meeting a year for $1 million or whatever he's making for that one meeting he's in. Maybe when that Raytheon contract comes across, maybe you're more apt to sign that. I mean, that's a real thing. That military-industrial complex is a real thing, and these guys definitely. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot become politicians in uniform when they hit a certain rank. So I take the restaurant guy as president over the military guy any day of the week.
UFO report given deadline. What do we got? June?
So it's okay. So it was given a deadline of June 1st, but I'm seeing it's actually a 180-day countdown from when Trump approved the spending package on December 27th, which makes it June 25th. But they said
it's way off my June 15th.
Yeah, and but they said that there are two factors, that it could come sooner or it can also be delayed. That's what they're saying. It means I don't know what it means.
Well, there's some move.
I gotta know
to find out.
I'm gonna put it on
what's
my calendar.
out there. Yeah.
Peloton has agreed to recall all of its Tread and Tread Plus machines after an accident killed a 6-year-old child. There have been 72 reports of people, pets, or objects being pulled under the rear of the treadmill with 29 injuries. CEO John Foley has apologized for the company's initial resistance to the request for a recall. He says Peloton made a mistake in our initial response to the Consumer Product Safety Commission's request that we recall the Tread Plus. We should have engaged more productively.
Kid die kind of that way?
Wasn't it it was strangulation or drowning?
Hooked up in a pole thing, but I think for some reason there's maybe...
I don't know. It was on a treadmill, and it was obviously years ago for Peleton, but yeah.
Yeah, on a treadmill, but got hooked into the pole. Yeah. Bad
tough.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now wait, does Christy have one of those?
She has a Peleton bike.
Of course she does. God forbid she can't get her 4 a.m. workout in.
By our ceiling to floor window.
Got it. That's smart. Fewer American women are having babies, according to me, and according to a new report released today. The U.S. birth rate fell 4% last year, the largest single-year decrease in 50 years. Wow. Experts blame the drop on a combination of money troubles and fear for the future with the pandemic. There were about 3.6 million births last year as compared to 3.75 million the year before. The birth rate has been steadily dropping since 2007 when there were 4.3 million births.
Good. Less people.
I mean...
I've talked to Drew about this. He's interviewed some guys about this. This is more testosterone and sperm count dropping and all that stuff. And there's some pretty smart people who think it has to do with all the plastic in our world.
Really? I just
How
assumed...
could you think about going from zero plastic, like kind of as a species, drinking stuff out of gourds
Right.
and clay pots and iron skillets and stuff, to ubiquitous plastic? Just every part inside your car, everything you're holding, all that you're drinking out of is food storage. I mean, it is ubiquitous plastic in our environment. Now, I could see that mussing the flora and the fauna a little bit.
That absolutely makes sense. I was just assuming it was kind of that idiocracy vibe. Remember how it started of people are waiting longer and getting their education and having less kids and then some people are just going, gone wild, having all, so it's I think that most anecdotally people I know are just older when they have kids.
Well, yeah, there's some of that.
Everything makes sense what you're saying. I remember Chris can look this up if he wants to, but the birth rate fell during the in the aftermath of the housing crisis of 08 and 09. And every time there's economic crises, birth rate falls. People, money problems, whatever.
Because we were all expecting those quarantines in the next 10 years, but people that we thought, it was all going to be everybody just staying home and fucking, but they weren't.
Well, this is a separate thing, but like I said, sperm count down. Penis is getting smaller, I think, as well.
Come on.
So who are you speaking for?
Take that, kids.
And, hey, that'd be a pretty good day if we could get the average down a couple of clicks. You know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah.
Good day for us old guys, right?
King among men.
Yeah, I was talking to. I've heard some reports about it. Kind of makes sense, and it's also just kind of a generational thing. Like people don't aspire to get married and start a family and do that. They want to have a career and hang out and have a good time.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed Willie is monster.
That's right.
Well said.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm
Hold on.
Gina Grad.
Yeah.
And that's the news.
Hey there.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Jack Carr. The book is called The Devil's Hand, a thriller. Jack, I'm so impressed with your not only knowledge base, but your ability to convey it. It's so concisely. You're really gifted.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. I was going to prepare for this conversation by going to watch The Hammer again, which is one of my favorites. I love that movie. So
he's obviously a genius.
My family to it.
Oh,
and
wow.
And the kids here later. So, yeah, but I'm going to zip over and do my little Fox spot here. I'm in the studio right now, but thank you guys so much for having me on. It's
Thanks,
an honor
Jack.
to be here.
Loved it.
We'll have you back, man, and thanks for enjoying The Hammer.
Absolutely. You guys take care. Thanks
Take
for
care,
everything.
Jack. All right, let me tell you about Humble CBD. Need rest, relaxation after a long day at the office. Sick of soreness and inflammation? Let's talk about Humble CBD. Wide variety of hemp-derived CBD products. Twist, roll, and relax with your CBD calming balm. Or travel with their CBD twist and a tincture as well. On the go. Smaller than a pack of gum, designed for your pocket. Humble CBD is focused on helping you stay grounded, no matter what life brings to you. Remember, a tree's beauty lies in its branches, but the strength is in the roots. Focus, relax, recover with Humble CBD. Right, Dawson?
Now offering 25% off your first order with promo code ADAM. All you have to do is go to humblecbd.com and choose any product that meets your needs. Stay grounded with Humble CBD.
I have never met a Navy SEAL that I didn't like.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, this guy could be a professor. Like, he's really, really good at explaining this stuff.
Yes. But there's just maybe as we get more sort of chaotic and unfocused, the kind of focus of SEALs. I love they're so, because think about it, it's the ultimate pragmatic job.
Yeah.
If you're not pragmatic,
It's
you're
nuts and
dead.
bolts.
You will not come back if you're not being pragmatic. All right. Almost sold out Appleton, Wisconsin, Skyline Comedy Club. That's tonight and tomorrow. You can see if you can find a few tickets left. Dunnigan's going to be guesting on, guesting, I guess, on Saturday. Jam in the Van, we're all going to be there May 22nd out here in Los Angeles. Go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows and No Safe Space available now on Amazon Prime. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Gina Grad, Bald Brian, and Jack Carr saying mahalo.
You really fucked me.